Hey everyone, welcome back to week 4 of Team Building Bootcamp. And if you're here today, I'm really proud of you. You've stuck it through all of these weeks. You are showing up. And when you know the old saying, when you show up, you go up. And that's where you're heading. You're heading up the ladder of leadership. And I'm really proud of you being here today. So let's get busy. Get out your workbook, okay? Print it out. And let's get working on week 4 in developing your team, where we're going to learn how to onboard new team members and with a specific system that I have to help you grow your team. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now and with the PowerPoint, and we'll get going here. So, week 2. Okay, so we're going to start off, of course, as we always start off, in doing a little review work, because when you do review work, that's when you learn. And this is actually an accelerated learning technique that I want you to think about when you're training your team. Every time you train them on something, repurpose the content on what you've trained them on, because that's how they truly learn it. So, in week 1, and I'll review here, week 1, and we're actually on page 2 of your workbook, so we can actually, as I'm talking and you want to take some notes, or you want to write down some ideas that spring up when you're thinking about this, that's how I want to roll through this week 4. So in week 1, we got very clear with your vision, and you created your team building vision on your whiteboard or your piece of paper, whatever it was, your clipboard. And I really want you to make sure that this is in a place where you can look at it every day, where you can add names to those circles that I talked about, and where you're actually growing your business. It is a really powerful exercise to have a vision board in front of you, because you get that inspiration when you look at it every day to just keep moving up the level of leadership, okay? And that's what we're looking for. In week 1, we focused on the recruiting process, and I call it a success formula. And of course, this is the first step to having, of all the recruiting process, is to have that calendar full of bookings. And I do want you to keep that saying in mind when you're training your team. The first step to team building is having a calendar full of bookings. You know, we're in the booking business. We're in the party plan business. That's what we do. And it is the core of the success formula. Because when you hold parties, you master the skills of planting those recruiting seeds. You master the skills of listening very carefully. And you master the skills of listening for those questions where people are asking you about your business. And you're sharing your story. It's just the party is the best place for you to find the best prospects, okay? And so when you follow this formula of holding 6 parties a month, you're going to know exactly who those 3 prime prospects that I talk about that are at every party, you're going to know exactly who they are, and you're going to know that those are the people you're going to hand out your 3 recruiting packets. This is just the formula of how it works. Then you go on to making those Big Mac connects and following up within 24 to 48 hours after the party to set those recruiting and conversation appointments. And these are simply steps that you repeat over and over, and that's why we call it the success formula, okay? In week 1, we also spend a lot of time deciphering who is a prime prospect, or a person who is actually looking for your opportunity, okay? You did an exercise where you wrote names of people on a list, and I want this to be your hot list of prime prospects, people to connect with, people to follow up with, people who you want to share with them the reason why you think they might be interested in your opportunity. And usually it's one of those 12 reasons that you learned, okay? So if, for instance, if you're calling your best customer, okay, and she's buying a lot of your products, then really and truly, it's up to you to share more about your business opportunity with her. So reach out, contact her, make an appointment, have a recruiting conversation. If you've met that person at a party who needs extra income right now, you have a solution for her, okay? You know how she can do that in the first 30 days of her business. If you saw somebody at a party who was helping someone else, right? I call that the informal leader. Don't delay. Call her immediately. Let her know how good she is at helping others, and consider listening to hearing more about your business opportunity. Maybe you heard a guest say that she needs to work and is looking for a part-time job with flex hours. Well, you know exactly that solution you have for her, right? So a full calendar of 6 parties a month, planting recruiting seeds, listening, who is somebody who might be interested in your opportunity, and handing out 3 recruiting packets to those 3 people, following up with those Big Mac connects, and scheduling recruiting conversations. This is the process or the skills that you are mastering in this boot camp to build your confidence, to grow your strong team. So in week 2, we dove deep into mastering these skills. I showed you how to identify 5 prime prospects at every party. Those were your hostess, your first booking, the person with the largest order, the person you had an intimate conversation with, and the person who asked a question, okay? We focused on making the Big Mac connect, knowing the purpose is to get an appointment to either meet face-to-face or set a phone or Zoom appointment, or just to talk about sharing and presenting your opportunity. Because once you have that appointment, that's where your confidence is going to rise, because now you understand that the 6 steps are all about. It's so simple. Once you learn those 6 steps, you're going to want to share that with as many people as possible. So we went over those 6 steps in depth. And so now as you review those, and I suggested that you maybe put each one of those steps on a 3x5 card so you would really get to know them. But it really boils down to you presenting that opportunity to as many people as possible, and keep building the relationships with these people. Sometimes they're not interested in joining now, but they might be interested in joining later. Or maybe they're not interested in joining at all, but they might know of somebody because now they understand how your business works. That's why I highly recommend you share your opportunity. You practice and present your opportunity with many family members and good friends who aren't interested in joining your team, because you really get really good at it, and they become great advocates for you to find people who want to join your team. You also learned how to professionally close your conversation with a simple strategy called the next step. I showed you the value of launching your hostesses, using those 2 options, option A and option B. Always remember this, your hostesses are your hottest prospects. So if you take the time to present your opportunity to every hostess before every party, you're going to be recruiting nearly every one of them. Believe me, this is really true. We also talked about the power of numbers. That is all about how many conversations you schedule on your calendar every week. And I honestly believe if you place the value of having recruiting conversations every week, the same value as holding parties every week, your recruiting stats are just going to go through the roof, because you're going to have so many prime prospects waiting to join when it's the right time for them. And they're going to be popping in one by one. And I say that because not everyone is going to join right away. Some people take a few hours, some people take a few weeks, some people take a few days, some people take a few months. I've even had somebody join me a year and a half later. But that's the process of it. Again, at the end of week 2, you wrote a list of people you know who you think might be interested in your opportunity. I had you actually write their names down. If you haven't done that exercise, I highly recommend you go back and do it, and just really start following up with those people. Okay, so in week 3, you began to stretch in boot camp. By the way, we're still on page 2 of your workbook. So I'm going through these 3 squares that are on page 2. So in week 3, you took the time to rate yourself, okay? And I hope you actually did this, because this is like the skills of learning how to recruit. And if you didn't do it, I highly recommend you go back and do it, because actually it could change everything for you in growing, in team building, growing your team, if you just know those precise steps that are there for you to focus on and learn. So stretching means getting out of your comfort zone, right? And learning how to meet people. And in week 3, you learned about the 7 areas in my marketing party pie. I do want you to go through each one of those pie slices and map out your strategy to getting out, meeting new customers, hostesses, and new recruits, and either doing it offline or online. So pay attention to expanding your team in your backyard, okay, where you live, because this is the beginning. Once you grow a large team where you live, as I say, in your backyard, that's when you're truly going to see your business go fly. So we also talked about how to connect with people using your powerful success story, and how to find out, how to ask questions and learn about them, and what to say when someone says, well, what do you do, Gail? And I talked about that one-liner to get the conversation going. Once you learn that, it will really give you the confidence in your ability to grow your business when you're meeting new people and starting to build relationships. So I hope you really took note of that in week 3. Now, also in week 3, you created your own team building journal, and I hope you've done that, or recruiting journal. I shared with you a little video on how to do that. But I do challenge you, if you haven't done that yet, to really get on this. It honestly will have a huge impact on the system of you knowing who to follow up with, who is a prospect you've talked to before, who just needs another phone call or another text or just another communication that's going to make the difference for them to join. And then I wanted you to think about a habit. You know, I always love to bring in habits. And I called it the 5-5-3 habit, where you make 5 friends, okay? And you follow up with 5 prospects. So that's like bringing on 5 new people into your funnel. You follow up with 5 prime prospects. Those are people you've actually shared the opportunity with. And then you're always scheduling 3 recruiting conversations every week. It's a fun little habit. I want you to think about it. And as the saying goes, habits drive your actions, rituals create results. So you're going to get results when you get into that little habit. So I'm going to go over that again with you, I think, in the Facebook group, so you really, truly get it. Okay, so would you agree that in the last 3 weeks, you've had a full body workout in Bootcamp? I would say yes, right? But I really am proud of you sticking to this every week, doing the exercises, you know, going through the workbooks, listening to the webinars, building your what I call recruiting muscles, and strengthening and toning your recruiting skills, okay? So let's move on to week 4, which is the last week's workout in Bootcamp. And I want you to turn to page 3. I'm turning to page 3 as I say it, in your workbook, okay? You're focused and you're confident with the skills you've learned right now, okay? But now you're starting to build a team, okay? And maybe the team's building faster than you think, okay? I think I heard 1 or 2 people recruited somebody this week. So you really have to have a system in place for every new recruit that comes on board, especially in those first 30, 60, 90 days. They're really crucial to a person's success. So I had this dilemma when I actually had over 100 people join my team in 1 month. And I went, oh my gosh, I've got to find a way to help all of these people. But I want to take a minute today to help you get very clear with the different responsibilities of the person who sponsors a new recruit and you as the leader's responsibility. Now, if you're the sponsor, then this is both of your responsibility. But if you look at page 3 in your study guide, it says the responsibility of the sponsor, and then it says the responsibility of the leader. So I want you to know the difference between those two, because as a leader, it is up to you to share with that sponsor their responsibility. And the way to do that is to have a team checklist. One that you can give to everyone who's sponsoring someone, so that everybody's on the same page about a new recruit coming in. These are the steps that a new recruit needs to do when she first comes on board. And you, the sponsor, that's your responsibility to help her do that, right? So the checklist, and I've written some things on page 3 of the workbook, like review the kit and paperwork, schedule launch parties, find 2 hostesses in the first 30 days, help her make a list of 50 people, help her navigate the website and ordering online. I want you to go through, that's just a checklist. I want you to actually go through it and you come up with your own checklist, because it's your team, it's your company, you have all these guidelines. You want to make sure your checklist is the best checklist for every new recruit coming on board. All of these are really important tasks for every sponsor to go over with her new recruit. Okay, so as I said, go over the list, create your own checklist, and make sure every new team member gets this. Now, you will notice that on the slide here, it talks about the Calendar Club team booking system, and that is a system that I've developed specifically because I was having so many new members come on board. And this is a copy of the 2018 workbook that is, going away right now because we're getting towards the end of the year. So 2019, because you're on my list, you will be aware of it. But it's a fabulous system that I developed. I teach it to all my coaching clients. It really helps you become a very hands-on leader who knows exactly how to support your team. When your team members come on board and you've got the checklist for them, okay, and if it's a sponsor, somebody, one of your team members is sponsoring somebody, they now understand what their responsibility is when they bring a new team member on board. Sometimes some leaders say this, oh, don't worry, I'll do all the work for you, okay? I don't want you to do that, because that's not being what we call duplicatable. You want people on your team to know the simple steps it is to help their new recruit go through what she needs to go through in those first 30, 60, 90 days when she comes on board. So this week on Facebook, in our Facebook group, I will be sharing with you some more actions on that new recruit checklist. But I just want to make sure you understand the responsibility of a sponsor and the responsibility of a leader. And now let's talk about the responsibility of a leader. And this is how I developed this system. Because as a leader, you're actually responsible for welcoming this new recruit onto your team. I call it a burst of welcome. I actually would send a welcome email. I even make a welcome phone call, okay? Sometimes even a handwritten note. But you really want to make sure she knows she's coming into this great team, okay? Make her feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I belong to this team, okay? You want to introduce her to, if you start using the Calendar Club team bookings calendar, you want to introduce her to that as soon as possible. You want to welcome her to the team Facebook group, of course. But here's what you as a leader really want to make sure each one of your new recruits are doing, these 5 steps, okay? Because ideally, if every new recruit who joins your team does these 5 steps, you're going to be growing a very strong team of business builders. So those 5 steps are simply this. Step number 1, everybody holds a launch party. In my team, even if they said they just wanted to get their clothes for themselves and a few friends, I would encourage them to have a launch party. I actually suggest 2 launch parties, one on a weeknight, one on a weekday. That way they have a very great start to their business. The second step is then to have them reach out and find 2 hostesses to host for them in that first 30 days. So if they're holding 2 launch parties, they're more than likely to find those 2 hostesses. That means they've held 4 parties in the first 30 days. The third step is making sure they understand the value and reviewing with them how the fast start in your company works. You want everyone that comes on board to earn that fast start reward every 30, 60, 90 days. And which brings me to step 4, recruit someone in that first 90 days. And that's just basically bringing what I call bringing on a friend. And step 5 is to make sure she's attending your new recruit training. And I can go on about that in our Facebook group as well. I always hold my own new recruit training. And bringing her along to your team meeting, introducing her, getting her really into the fold of your team. So this is why it's so important for you as a leader to have these 5 steps in place and start to track every new team member that comes on board to, that's your goal, is to have each one of them totally go through each one of these steps. It's just your job as a leader to guide them through this 5-step system. And, some will, some won't. Some might hold launch parties and not do another 2 parties. Some might not hold a launch party, get a couple of parties going, and complete the fast start. That's your job as a leader, is to track them. Because when you have a ton of new recruits joining your team who go through these 5 steps, and you as a leader have these 5 steps all set up, this is a system you have a great support system, number 1. But number 2, you're not going into overwhelm with having 10, 20, 30 people coming all on at one time. You're able to track them. Okay, so let's move now on to page 4 in your study guide. Because in my Calendar Club team booking system, we really work on a specific communication system that really helps you, the leader, become a very strong leader. Not only strong as far as leading them, but strong in actually developing great relationships with them. So embracing, of course, the new technology, or all this amazing technology that we have today, increases the ability for leaders to grow strong and dynamic teams with social media, and I'm specifically talking about a team Facebook group. A leader's job is to guide their team in growing a successful direct sales business. So having your own team Facebook group enables you to communicate daily with your team. It enables you to support them daily and help them with their sales and their booking and their own recruiting. So what you're actually doing with the team Facebook group is you're adding value. And when you add value to your team members, they aspire to greatness. That's just what they do. So I want to share with you today 5 ways to add value in your team Facebook group. And many of you may be doing this already, okay? But the first one is recognition. We are actually on page 4 of your workbook now, and so you might be wanting to write some notes on page 4. So recognition, this is actually the number 1 way to add value to your team members. Just recognizing their successes. You might want to recognize top in sales, top in bookings, top in recruiting. People who hit the top in your team are great role models for your team. So when you recognize them, ask them to share how they did it, but make sure you're recognizing all those top people. You also want to suggest to recognize small successes. They're really actually just as important. Recognizing people who do maybe one thing that stretches them, or people who are helping someone else be successful. Others, when you recognize small successes, others will celebrate these small successes. And what that does, it builds people's confidence. You want to recognize firsts. Team members love to be recognized for their first party, their first booking that they get, their first recruit that comes on board. It could even be their first $500 party, or the first person who said yes just to having a recruiting conversation. So making sure you're recognizing first is another one. You also want to make sure you're recognizing party sales. And I really emphasize this because you want your team members to have $500 $1,000 parties and above, right? And by recognizing people who hold $500 parties and by recognizing people who hold $1,000 and above parties, you're recognizing how to increase sales at parties. And it's just a great way to do that. And of course, it goes without saying that you recognize all and welcoming all new recruits and highlighting their sponsors, the people who have recruited them. And not doing this once, doing it in 2 or 3 graphics and posts in your team Facebook group. Now, the second thing that I highly recommend you post a lot about in your team Facebook group is product knowledge. Your team can never get enough information about their products. They always love learning how to share the product benefits with their customers. They love learning creative ways to post about the products, about the facts, about the benefits, but most of all, about how your products make a difference in people's lives. So always be sharing every week, little bits, little things about your product knowledge, and not be thinking that everybody already knows this, because you've got new people coming on board. People might go back and think, oh, I forgot about that. So really taking a really good look at the facts and benefits and sharing that. Number 3 is creating what I call a graphics album in your team Facebook group, because your team is going to love this value. They're always looking for good graphics to share. 2 of my favorite ways, of course, to create really great graphics are Canva, and there's an app called WordSwag. There's a whole bunch of different apps that you can use, but those are the 2 top ones that, even with all the new ones coming on board, I keep going back to Canva and I keep going back to WordSwag. So you want to create graphics that are specific to your products, your business opportunity, your party successes. That's a big one. All this, snapping pictures of party successes is really a big one. And of course, anything to do with the hostess success. You also want to add value in your team Facebook group with your team mission. What is your team mission? One of my clients recently shared that she's on a mission to change the world 1 chemically free household at a time. And she spreads throughout her team every week in her team Facebook group this message. So think about finding your mission. Keep it in front of them as often as possible. Your mission is unique to your team. And it's this mission that will attract others to join your team. And number 5, of course, is the live video. It is the way to go, especially in your team Facebook group and also in your VIP customer group. But in your team Facebook group, when you go live at least once a week, the team really knows you as an authentic you, okay? They get to know you really well. And it just gives you the opportunity to share tips, important information about your products, your company, your team. So I highly recommend you really work posting every day in your team Facebook group. If you're not posting every day, if you're saying I'm only going to do it 3 times a week, you're missing out. Every day is the key here. Maybe make one day a live video, okay? I love using a scheduler. Once a week, I will schedule all my posts every Sunday for the whole week. And my favorite scheduler is Synshare, but you use the one that works for you. So now let's talk a little bit about social media being a fabulous tool to build strong and authentic relationships with team members and inspire your team with positive information. So holding a take a look opportunity event or a business opportunity event on a consistent basis with your team is really going to help you create a recruiting culture on your team, and it's going to help your team grow a lot. So if you have a small team and you're really not quite confident in holding your own business opportunity event right now, promote the one that your company does, okay? But just promote it as often as possible. You got to be proactive in reminding the team. I always say we're in the reminder business today when this event is happening. And the second thing is, if you truly want to help your team and grow that recruiting culture on your team, is teach your team members how to invite, what to say to bring prospects to those meetings. Now, another great way to attract prime prospects to your team is to create a team business, a actual different Facebook group called a business information Facebook group for you, just for your team. So this is different from the VIP customer group. This is a group only for people who have expressed an interest in joining but are not quite yet ready to pull the trigger. Kind of like all those people in your recruiting journal I talk about. They're the ones that are waiting until the time is right for them. You really, though, need to work with your team members to get behind this group, okay? They need to be posting positive and professional information on there as well as you, okay? It's not just about you, it's a team effort. And encourage them to do testimonials, but you really have to be very proactive. So I would say if you're not going to be proactive with this, don't start it. But it is a great way. I'm seeing great success with a lot of leaders who are doing this. Of course, always get permission from people to add them to this group. Don't just put them in there. But what's going to happen is people kind of get an idea of what it's like to belong to your team when they're in this group. So now another social media platform I highly recommend you initiate is a personal blog. That's if you're up to it. If you're a writer and if you would love to do that, if that's something that really appeals to you, you do not have to do it, but it is a great advantage, I believe, because your blog really sells you. It's a very powerful tool to develop strong relationships with your customers, your hostesses, and your team members. A blog kind of gives you the opportunity to write success stories about your products, about your team members, and people are really curious about direct sales, you know. Do you really make money in direct sales? Well, when you have a blog, you're really going to share with them how that happens. But a blog kind of gives you the opportunity to share all the positive information about direct sales, and especially your products in your company. And also a blog is going to attract new prospects who want to be part of a winning team like your team. Now, similar to a blog is a YouTube channel. If you're very comfortable in front of video, I highly recommend you create a YouTube channel. It really gives you the opportunity to be live and talk about your products mostly. And of course, it's your channel, so you get to talk about your business opportunity. You can share the benefits of your products. You can share what's beneficial about your opportunity. But what I love about a YouTube channel is it has its own SEO, which means when people type in like your natural skincare or fashion or organizing or do-it-yourself, whatever it is, or jewelry, or just green cleaning products, okay, or book for children, okay, because you're on YouTube with the SEO, your name comes to the top. So be thinking about that. Again, like a blog, a YouTube channel takes work, and so you really have to be dedicated to doing those videos every week. So think about this. You could play around reading other people's blogs. You could play around watching other people's YouTube videos just to get an idea. But it is a great way to grow your business online and attract those team members that you're looking for. You know exactly who you're looking for. And so attracting those people to join your team with these two platforms is really another fun way to grow your business. Okay, so let's now move on to page 6 of your workbook. And I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't share with you this one strategy. This one strategy that's grew my income actually to the 6-figure level. I call it the building wide sales strategy. And it's basically when you have a strong personal business, like you're holding at least 6 parties a month yourself, what you're doing is, and you're getting consistent bookings and have a full calendar, and you're recruiting 2 or more people every month, you're actually leading by example. And you're focusing on recruiting a high amount or a high number of people on your own personal team. That's what I call the going wide system. And it is the foundation to building $1 million team, more so in building a six-figure income business. And I'll tell you why. Because when you recruit personally and have a strong personal team, three things happen. The first thing is you are constantly leading by example. You're holding parties, you're recruiting consistently every month. You are exemplifying how to duplicate a direct sales business. You are role modeling recruiting. And when you do that, your team members will follow your systems. They'll follow what you're doing. They'll see that because you're so consistent in recruiting every month and holding those 6 parties every month, you're having that great success. And they will follow you because of your success and your successful systems. The second reason is you're actually maximizing your highest income stream in your comp plan. This is the commission levels. This income stream, and it's across the board in every comp plan, it either pays you twice or offers you special bonuses. And the third reason is when you build wide indirect sales and have that strong personal team, you develop strong personal downline leaders. All of my leaders came from my personal team except one. So being part of this boot camp, you are refining your team building skills to consistently recruit every month. So I want to know if you're up for this next challenge, okay? So on page 6, okay, I think it's page 6. Yes, we're on page 6 of your workbook. You get to write in the number of personal recruits you have on your team right now. There's a little box there. And I don't mean the people that they've recruited. When I say personal team, I mean only the people you've personally recruited. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Then I'm going to challenge you to write in the next number in that next box is how many more do you want to recruit? Up to the number 50, because I really believe 50 is a magic number. To get your first 50 personals is the key. So if you have 5 now, personal recruits, think about doubling it to 10. If you have 10, think about getting it to 25. If you have 25, then definitely get it up to 50, okay? Remember, these are people who are currently you have personally sponsored. And then what I want you to do is write a date on that page when you want to have that personal team up to that number, okay? Just a date, okay? So that's all on page 6 of the workbooks. One of my successes was that I had the most personal recruits in my company, okay? And because of that, and this was a strategy, I figured this out, my commission check, just from that personal team that I personally recruited, was actually the basis of my check being over $10,000 every month, because that was a consistent with my strong personal team. So I call this little exercise the focus on 50 exercise, building wide strategy. If you truly want to grow your team, then I highly recommend you make it your mission to focus on getting your personal team up to 50. So I'll be interested to see what numbers you come up with, because we'll be talking about that on our call next week, on our Wednesday call, actually. Okay, so let's now move along. We have now got you working on the building wide strategy. Let's now talk a little bit about mastering your team building skills. You've learned the key components of team building and mastering the skills that you really need to build a strong team. So under each of the headings on page 7 in your workbook, I want you to write in the most important action you've learned under each one of these headings, because it's really going to help you master those skills. I want you to think about it. What action, if you look at the first one, what action will you take to master having a full calendar of bookings and having it consistent? Okay, having 6 bookings a month. Now, as I say, if you want to do 3 in-home parties and 3 Facebook parties, do it consistently. Or you want to do all Facebook parties or all in-home parties, do it consistently. Then look at what action you will take to master those 12 reasons that we learned about on who's looking for the opportunity. Remember, I had you write a 3x5 card of those 12 reasons. Honestly, if you start to master that and get those in your head, you're going to be noticing prime prospects everywhere. So next, what action will you take to master discovering a person's need or the reason they want to join? And that goes back to your listening skills. Is that what you really need to work on to master? Listening and talking to people to find out if they do have that need. Next, what action will you take to master planting recruiting seeds at your party? How good are you at that? Maybe you need to really get yourself very clear on that. Remember that first big seed I told you about in your intro, where you share why you joined, why you love it, and the difference it's made in your life and family? Just focus on mastering that. And you're going to find people coming up and asking you questions or talking to you maybe about your business. Next is, what action will you take to ensure that you are going to make sure at every party you're going to hand out 3 recruiting packets to those 3 people that you think might be interested in the opportunity. They might not, but you've kind of come up with those 3 people. And then following up with them within 24 to 48 hours to see if they'd like to learn more. Now remember, not everyone's going to want to sit down with you and learn more about it, but it's just getting into that habit of handing out 3 packets, following up, and making recruiting conversation appointments. Next, what action will you take to master holding recruiting conversations every week? Are you up for that? Because this is a skill when you truly learn how to share your opportunity and truly love sharing that opportunity. You know, those 6 steps that we went over, you are going to find your recruiting is going to go to the top. So the next one was, what action will you take to master expanding your reach using your personal success story and attracting more prospects? And this one takes a lot of practice, okay? Because it's all about building your confidence and attracting and meeting new people that are coming into your funnel and, you know, getting them to be a customer first, then maybe a hostess, and then maybe a recruit. The next, I want you to think about what action you're going to take to filling your pipeline with prime prospects using your team building journal or your recruiting journal. Because once you have that journal going every week, you're flipping through the journal and saying, I do need to follow up with Susie. It was like it's been 3 weeks or a month, and I'm not sure. You know, she was kind of about an 8, really ready to join. I need to call her now. So that's a really important skill to master. So my question to you today is, will you dedicate yourself to continue to master these team building skills, all these skills that I've written down on page 7 of your workbook? Because once you really become comfortable and confident in mastering these skills, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit, guys. You will really become a top leader and recruit a lot of people on your team. So next, I want you to think about mastering what I call a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency drives people and companies to work much harder than normal, okay? It makes them work as if their lives depended on it. You know, Bill Gates said that a secret to Microsoft's success was they had people thinking of themselves to be on the losing side. And this was making them strive to be that number 1 every day. And it was this attitude that created a sense of urgency, which made them work hard to survive in that highly competitive environment of the IT industry. Many students suddenly get a boost of productivity, like a few days or maybe even a few hours before the exams, right? Well, that's a sense of urgency at play. So as you can see, a sense of urgency is like magic. A touch of it can transform a person or a whole team to be highly productive. The enemy then is comfort. Once someone is trapped in that comfort zone, they lose that sense of urgency. There's really no reason to work hard and excel. They actually fall prey to that trap, what we call mediocrity. So this explains why many people don't grow or just grow very slowly in their business. So if there's a lesson that we can learn, it's actually to be highly productive and to kind of introduce that sense of urgency that you want, if it's what you want, in building a strong and dynamic team. So I want you to think about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, thinking about the sense of urgency in growing your team, where are you? Are you a 1? Are you a 3? Are you a 5? Are you a 7? Are you a 10? Maybe you're somewhere in between. But if you focus and discipline yourself and have the courage to step up and step out in just a few of these areas that we've covered in these last 4 weeks, I will guarantee you, you will have explosive growth in building that dream team that you want. So, as we know, a call to action at the end of every week. Take the time to complete your call to action. What is the most important area you've learned in this module? What skill will you master to improve your recruiting? And what are you going to do to overcome any fears that you have that you've been learning about? I would love you to actually write this out and snap a picture of this and put it on our Facebook group. Okay, so I just have one more thing to tell you today. I really didn't get to the #1 team position in my company alone. I really had support along the way. I had a private coach who I credit to helping me in my journey to the top. She taught me so much about working with people and being a leader and helping others be successful. And I keep hearing from many entrepreneurs who really want growth in their business, but they say they can't afford a coach. They can't afford, it's just not out there. It's not in their budget. And I realized myself that once you hit a certain level in your business, that's when you really know you're ready for that extra help. You're ready to reach out for support. So today I want to make you an offer to continue with support and accountability in becoming a strong leader and growing $1 million team. So I invite you to continue getting support in my LEAP Mastermind group. It's a wonderful group of leaders. LEAP actually stands for Learn, Earn, Take Action, and Persist. And these 4 words are truly what really grows you as a leader and also grows your team. And that's what it really takes, actually, to keep focused and keep your mindset positive, right, and growing to that top level. But in our LEAP Mastermind group, we have actually 2 powerful live 50-minute webinar Zoom sessions every month. You get access to me in supporting you and your business. The first Zoom session of the month is actually a leadership training that I hold every month. And the second one is when we actually use that mastermind technique with questions and answers and helping each other and supporting each other. I usually have a hot laser training topic as well. The accountability part of this group is the key to it. I have a weekly laser coaching component where you actually get my one-on-one attention, and I help you specifically with your business. We work in a secret LEAP Facebook group, and I'm in there every day, okay? Just like I'm teaching you to be in there with your team. So if this is the extra support you're looking for, accountability, help with your goals, helping achieving deadlines, implementing new systems and strategies so you don't get overwhelmed, helping your team stay consistent and growing, I encourage you to join our LEAP Mastermind group. The link is right here in the workbook, okay? It is a great group. As I said, we have such a positive group of people in there already. You can only learn from each other. We have some great, wonderful projects that I have you work on as leaders together. So that truly helps you build. So if you have any questions on that, then just email me personally and I can answer that for you. But going back to the affordability part of it, it is $147 a month. That is really the price of one party a month that you would earn. And if it's something that's truly going to help you stay on track and grow your business, I would love to have you come and join our LEAP Mastermind group. Okay. Lastly, abundance. Right now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself standing on the sand at the beach. Your toes are in the water. You're looking out into the vast ocean of abundance. I know this sounds a bit corny, but see if just go along with me, okay? Because no one's really watching us right now. I want you to imagine that you cannot ask for too much because you can never exhaust that supply of abundance that's available to you. No matter what you've thought up to now, I want you to know this. There will never be a shortage of customers that you can attract. There will always be enough hostesses who will want to hold parties with you. There will never be a cap on how many team members you can help. And there is an inexhaustible supply of ways that you can offer your business opportunity that others really don't have. The only person who sets that limit is you. The good news is that you can go beyond that limit anytime you want. You do not need to be tied down to what you have thought up to now, because there are so many people all over the US who have yet to learn about your business. And I want you to write this down. Your opportunity needs to be shared, not hidden. Because if you're not sharing it, you're hiding it. Okay, so get out there, share it. You just have to make the decision that you are ready to share it as often as possible. Because when you share it often, like every week, you're really going to start building that dream team that is just waiting for you to lead it. So are you ready to go beyond? Are you ready to tap into that abundance and do it with a sense of urgency? Then I want you to take what you've learned in the boot camp and join our mastermind group, okay? The Leap Mastermind group. I think you'll get so much out of it. I do appreciate all of you taking the time to be focused in this boot camp over the past 4 weeks. I hope what I call the workout has really helped you strengthen your mind, your body, and your team building skills. And my wish for you is that taking what you've learned, mastering all those skills that we've talked about, and implementing them. Because once you start to implement them, you're really going to see the results that you want in growing your business to that next level and beyond. So remember today these words: you can do it, okay? There are other people that are out there doing it, and there's no reason why you can't do it too. You just have to believe. You have to believe in that abundance that's waiting out there, and you have to tap into it. So I want to thank you again for being part of the boot camp. It has been my utmost pleasure and honor to serve you and help you succeed in your direct sales business. Much love, and I'll see you in the Facebook group.